Hello Pokemon trainers, this is GatorX, and today I'm going to be discussing Arceus. Now recently I talked about Ultra Necrozma and how it could potentially fit into the pantheon of Pokemon. Of course, that sparks the question of how Arceus, the perceived god of the Pokemon universe, would fit into the mythology of the Pokemon world. So, let's get started. In Generation 4, we were introduced to Arceus, a Pokemon said to have created the world, and several legendary Pokemon. Since then, Pokemon fans have adopted Arceus as their god, and many memes have arisen comparing Arceus to God. While some other theorists have discussed how Arceus may instead take inspiration from several gods of other mythologies rather than just one, I suspect that Arceus may not even be a god at all, at least not in the sense of how we think it may have been. Now, one thing that people often joke about is that Arceus, supposedly being the god of the Pokemon universe, can easily be caught by a 10-year-old child. Here's the thing, when discussing Arceus, we often think of its status as a god being similar to monotheistic religions, as they're some of the few that have survived. These religions often have an idea of a god that is characterized as omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient, or all-powerful, ever-present, and all-knowing. We can clearly see that Arceus is none of these. With a base stat total of 700, which is beaten out by both Rayquaza and Ultra Necrozma, as well as the fact that it can be beaten in battle and captured, Arceus is not all-powerful. There is nothing that gives an indication of Arceus' intelligence, but there is no indication that it is all-knowing. And as we can see by Arceus being in one physical space at all times, it is not ever present. To go back and add to Arceus' limited power, it is effectively canon that Arceus itself cannot create. Only with the help of the Unknown, who have been seen to have reality-altering abilities, can Arceus create Palkia, Dialga, and Giratina, as we see in the Heart Gold and Soul Silver event. And even then, it's just an egg of that Pokemon. Now this doesn't prove that Arceus isn't a god, but it does give us an idea of what kind of god Arceus is. In other mythologies, particularly polytheistic ones, gods can easily be interacted with by humans. These gods seem to be more physical beings, or at least most comfortable with physical forms, but they're still beings that possess supernatural powers. This does seem to be what Arceus is in the Pokemon universe. But it is interesting to note that this is a characteristic of gods in polytheistic mythologies, meaning many gods. As stated before, Arceus is on about the same level as other legendary Pokemon, who can also be characterized as physical beings with supernatural powers. What if then the mythology of the Pokemon universe is one of polytheism, where every legendary Pokemon is a god themselves? Many of these Pokemon seem to govern over different elements and their own powers, which Arceus hasn't been seen to be capable of, aside from maybe creation and adaptation. Groudon shaping the earth, Kyogre raising the ocean, Rayquaza ruling the skies, Palkia and Dialga ruling space and time, Xerneas creating life, Yveltal taking it away, Heatran forming volcanoes, Ho-Oh resurrecting the dead, and now Ultra Necrozma providing light and aura. Altogether, every legendary Pokemon makes up quite the pantheon of mythological gods. Arceus could just be the one in charge of other things. There is no doubt that it at least has the ability to create either Palkia, Dialga, or Giratina. We see it do so in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. But as for the overarching god of the Pokemon universe, that might be debatable. The only way we know of Arceus as being the supposed creator of the Pokemon universe is in the Legends of Sinnoh, and they're referred to as just that. Legends of Sinnoh. While playing through Generation 4, it's obvious that this Pokemon mythology is well known and respected throughout the Sinnoh region, but we see in many other regions they're mostly knowledgeable of mythologies pertaining to other legendary Pokemon. Arceus' Pokedex entries in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum state it to be the creator of the Pokemon universe, while Pokedex entries from every other future game state that it's specifically in Legends of Sinnoh that Arceus is credited as being the creator. It's almost as if people in these other regions don't believe that Arceus is the creator of the universe. The people of every region seem to only acknowledge their respective legendary Pokemon. Cave paintings, memorials, and dwelling places of different legendary Pokemon are usually only found within one region. If Arceus was truly thought to be the single creator and god of the Pokemon universe, surely there would be a memorial or different legends of Arceus throughout all Pokemon regions. It's similar to our real world, how landmarks of religious significance are located in the region those religions originated from. The Western Wall is in Jerusalem, Mecca is in Saudi Arabia, ancient obelisks are in Egypt, and so on. It could be possible that each of these legendary Pokemon spread throughout the Pokemon world, and each region in which they performed great acts of power or chose to dwell accepted them as their own godlike figures. In many polytheistic mythologies, there tends to be one god that rules or has authority over the others. Sometimes, but not all the time. Arceus might be a being like that, having at least created some of the legendary Pokemon of Sinnoh, but nothing is stated about Arceus creating all legendary Pokemon. After all, why would Arceus create others stronger than itself at the risk of being challenged and taken over? And on top of that, would Arceus even be able to create everything including Ultra Beasts and Necrozma, when it's so focused on the main Earth of Pokemon alone? Also, we see that Arceus seems to require the help of the unknown in order to create anything. And there's nothing in any game that states Arceus created the unknown. Even if it did, why would it have to create something else to help it to create even more? Perhaps there is another ultimate being that created Arceus, the unknown, and every other legendary Pokemon. Well, there is a hiker that you meet in Diamond and Pearl. He's been traveling, trying to understand everything he can about the origin of the Pokemon universe. He states, "The way I see it, our world began when the spirit within people was born. When that spirit came to be, there followed awareness about the world. Within the newborn spirit, time and space were intertwined as one. People and Pokemon too were but the same presence. As I understand it, people and Pokemon share the spirit and awareness. That interpretation could give us an idea about how the world came to be. A Pokemon is said to have shaped the world. Could that Pokemon be the physical form of the original spirit?" Of course, we don't know how much credibility this man might have and whether his travels have really enlightened him, but he does seem to have an idea that lines up with the Pokemon mythology, or at least a very Sinnoh-influenced idea of it. The big mystery is this spirit that is mentioned, a spirit consisting of people, Pokemon, time, space, and who knows what else. Now, there could be two ways of looking at this spirit. The first is that it could have been an interpretation of the true God and origin of the universe. It consists of everything and thus can create anything, and manifested itself not only through Arceus, but also the unknown and every other legendary Pokemon who then shaped and governed over the Pokemon world and universe. The second way of looking at this spirit is something similar to the Big Bang. The Big Bang was split into an initial event that caused a mass expansion of elements throughout the universe, followed by a cooling that allowed all these elements to form stars and galaxies. The spirit consisting of people, Pokemon, time, and space could be something similar to what was created after the initial event, and as it cooled formed Arceus, the unknown, and legendary Pokemon. If anything, I think the first is the most possible. Since Arceus and legendary Pokemon are near gods, this spirit must have been supernatural and willingly formed Arceus and the unknown. As mentioned, the unknown themselves seem to be the ones with the true power of creation, at least creation of legendary Pokemon. What's interesting is that they move about in an orderly fashion, almost like code for a computer program, opposite to the primordial amorphous form the original spirit likely took. What is most likely to have happened is that this spirit formed the unknown as well as Arceus. Arceus was then used as the vessel through which the unknown could form the world and create Palkia and Dialga, a big task. The unknown themselves, either through Arceus or not, may have created many other legendary Pokemon to shape and maintain the Earth, as willed by the original spirit. But that's just my theory, based off of a lot of evidence and potential ideas and lore of the Pokemon universe. I know, it's a lot to take in, and it took a lot of time to figure all this out, but I think that this is probably the most likely of all theories. And I don't mean to sound biased at all, but I just personally think this makes the most sense. But let me know what you think. Is Arceus the true god of Pokemon, or is it just one of many? Leave a comment below and we'll continue the discussion down there. Also remember to leave a like and subscribe to show your support. You can enable notifications by clicking the bell icon next to the subscribe button. This will make sure you see each new video as it comes out and will make you a member of the Chingling Squad. Anyway, this has been GatorX. Have a nice day.